The Deputy Leader of the Liberal Democrats, the MP for St Albans, Daisy Cooper, who joins us. Thank you very much indeed for being with us. Well, first of all, congratulations.
Thank you very much. We're so excited about the results.
Why did it happen? How did you heard what's... Well, do you think it was all down to the candidate? I mean, I've got to say to you, over the years, I have covered quite a lot of sensational victories by the old Liberals, by the SDP, by the Liberal Democrats. And, you know, look where you are now as a party, really a rump in the House of Commons.
Well, let's look at the context of this particular by-election. This seat in Chesham Amersham is the bluest of the blue. We knew that we had a mountain to climb and we didn't take it for granted. And I think the Conservatives did. And certainly we heard time and time again from traditional Conservative voters in that seat that they did feel as though their vote had been taken for granted. So we think that this is a huge success. We're absolutely delighted with the campaign. And I'm really pleased that Sarah Green has become the new MP, the new Liberal Democrat MP for Chesham and Amersham, and I believe that she will be a really strong voice for Chesham and Amersham in a way that those people deserve.
What was turning off those voters in this True Blue seat?
Well, I think there were many issues where a number of former Conservative voters decided they didn't want to vote Conservative anymore, and there were a number of reasons why people voted positively for Sarah Green and the Lib Dems as well. But in terms of those reasons why people didn't want to vote Conservative, who might have done in the past, the list was so long. It was, COVID running through care homes. It was the government's approach to planning, where they want to ditch community-led planning for housing and want to have a developer free-for-all. There was elements about people feeling as though they weren't being consulted or informed properly about HS2 developments. There were a number of people involved in the 3 million excluded who haven't received a penny of support from the government over the last year. So there were lots of different reasons that we were picking up on the doorstep why some people who had voted Conservative in the past were no longer voting that way. And a number of people said to us they wanted to positively vote for Sarah Green because they'd met her, they thought that she was listening to their concerns, and they're absolutely convinced that she's going to be that independent-minded MP that will give them a strong voice.
Do you think we are seeing a realignment of politics where in the north of England, more deprived areas, more working class voters like Boris Johnson, and in the home counties perhaps slightly more well-heeled people, a bit more likely to have gone to university, are turned off by the Tories? Is that what's happening?
Well, right up and down the country, there are a number of places, both in the north and the south, where Liberal Democrats are in second place to the Conservatives. And we're sending a very strong signal that in those places, we are the only way, by voting Liberal Democrat, we are the only way to beat this Conservative government. But if you look across, as you say, sort of the home counties area, we are seeing this blue wall that goes from across Oxfordshire to Buckinghamshire to Hertfordshire, where I am, all the way to Cambridgeshire. We're making huge gains at the local government level. Obviously, we won St Albans in 2019, delighted that we've now won Chesham and Amersham. And so across that area, we are looking to make significant gains as the earliest opportunity.
Now, what about the Conservatives who are sort of saying, well, we've seen this before from the Liberal Democrats. They say one thing to win by-elections. Your candidate, for example, is not a supporter of the HS2 rail development, whereas nationally, the Liberal Democrats are.
Well, HS2 is a Conservative government project, and yes, Liberal Democrats at the national level, our national policy is to support it. But the previous MP for Chesham and Amersham was against her party on this issue, and Sarah Green has been very outspoken that she is as well. Had she have had a vote on HS2, she would have voted against. And now as the MP, she has pledged to be incredibly vocal for local constituents who feel as though information isn't being divulged to them by people involved in the project, so they haven't been consulted on some of the developments. They're very concerned about the impact on biodiversity, and she's pledged to raise all of these issues in Parliament, and I'm sure she will.
Now, what's your message to the press? Jim Pickard, a Financial Times journalist, said he would eat his hat if you won because it was a true blue seat. And indeed, very honestly, on Twitter, he's now posting pictures of himself beginning to tuck into a rather large felt hat. Should he complete that diet, or will you have mercy on him?
I've seen that video. I think he's probably had enough of his hat. I thought it was very funny. But I guess the message from us really is that we will pledge to continue to be a strong opposition, the opposition that I think the country wants and deserves. All of us as Liberal Democrat MPs will continue to work very hard for our constituencies, and we hope very much to play our part in ousting this Conservative government as soon as we can.
But in the end, the Conservatives are only going to be beaten if parties, Labour and Lib Dem voters and others combine against the Conservatives. Isn't that the truth, rather than running against each other?
Well, as I say, we're in second place in 80 places across the country. We're in second place to the Conservatives in 80 places across the country. And that's where we're going to put our focus and our energy, because ultimately we want to have more Liberal Democrat MPs in Parliament that can help oust this right-wing Conservative government. And I think the Conservative Party MPs that have been on the press round this morning appear not to really understand why it is that they've lost Chesham and Amersham, whereas we've got a pretty good idea about how we've won it, because we've been talking to people, we've been listening to their concerns, and so we're very keen to play our part in ousting this government as soon as we can. Okay, Daisy Cooper, thank you very much indeed. Thank you.